today I'm going to install this little guy. So this is a Chimera air intake for the Grom, and supposed to give it like an extra 50 horsepower or something like that. So you guys can correct me if that's wrong, but you know, it starts out with like 1 horsepower, so this will give it 51 horsepower. Yeah, so of course, anytime you change your air or fuel components, you'll want to remap all kinds of stuff. So I'll be doing that shortly here, but for now, all I'm doing is just putting this sucker on. To do that, we're gonna have to remove a bunch of parts from the Grom. Let's do that now. All right, so we start by taking apart this whole fairing here, this side. So it's pretty easy to do, just a bunch of screws. Although it is a lot of screws for it being such a small bike. It's kind of unusual, I think, to have so many fasteners for just like a side fairing piece. And then, this one's a little bigger, one in the back. So I'm going to put, and these are loose actually. This is a magnetic little dish here that I have. I listened to this one earlier at the top. I don't even know if that was necessary to loosen. Oh yeah, it kind of is because there's hidden bolts behind here. Just picked up this little mini ratchet at Harbor Freight. I actually really like it. It's got some really good, it's really neat. It's got a little release button here, and without it, man, you cannot budge these things. So you have to press that in order to get the socket out and in. So pretty good quality. This Pittsburgh line that they have is actually pretty decent. I know people shit on Harbor Freight all the time. And by people, I mean me. But I do buy some non-essentials there and some essentials. It's unscrewed, but it won't come out. Will likely be the one that we end up losing. Aha. All right, I think that's fascinating. I didn't know better. I think it's the first time it's been removed from this bike. Actually, that made a case. All right, it's in pretty good shape. All right, set this aside. All right, what do we got here? So this is our air box. So we need to remove this whole thing. Yeah. Too many different types of connectors. Don't like that. Okay, so the big pain in the ass with this project turns out to be the second bolt for the existing air intake. See, the second bolt is actually on this other side. Let me see if I can move my tripod. the second bolt was just there, and I just removed it, just back there. You see how that's loose now? The second bolt was right there. And the problem is, to get to that second bolt, you do have to remove a good portion of this side as well. Not all of it, but a good portion. But now that it's out, we should be able to get to our work here, which is mainly right over here-ish. Let's see if we can, there we go. It's kind of a mess here today. All right. So these have the little inserts that go inside here, and I think the idea is you got to pull it up first. Pull it up and out. And then I just want to make sure I'm not pulling out anything that's not supposed to be coming out. Aha. I see. Okay, so on the other side, there's a couple of air hoses that are attached. Let's go back to the other side. So on this side, you'll notice that you've got this hose that you can just pull out like that. Let's put it over here for now. And we have another hose that has one of those funky little spring connector things that I absolutely hate. Oh man, it's pretty badly caked in. There we go. All right, so there was just a couple hoses that are connected. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not really going to go into it, but you got to get those out, and those are on the left side of the bike, this being the right side of the bike. Okay, so then we're going to free this guy out. Holy cow. We're replacing this whole thing. This entire thing is getting replaced by just that tiny little air intake. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it doesn't weigh anything really hardly. It's pretty light, but it is still a pretty substantial thingamabob. So that's kind of cool that we can reduce the bike as such. So this is gonna go like right, I guess like in there, like that. That's where it's gonna end up. What I don't know is which one of those hoses on the other end. Well, it'd be pretty self-explanatory. I guess it would have to be this hose. I guess this hose just goes in here. So I removed this from the original air box. And if you look closely at this Chimera unit, let's take it back out. It's got a little opening here just exactly for this guy. Makes sense. 4mm Allen wrench. Not too tight, not too loose. Just perfect. I'm actually going to put this back here because that's kind of the direction that's all going to end up. All right, just like that. And then this will undoubtedly, yep, plugs in then, no problem. So now it's just a matter of tightening this guy nice and tight. You definitely don't want any sort of air leak there because that's where your intake is. That's where your air is coming from. So you want to make sure you tighten that up real good. And this is actually a pretty well thought out solution. All right, it's nice and sturdy. All that remains is plugging this guy in. All right, so at this point, I just want to start the bike real quick to make sure that it can breathe. And also, we now have this other hose that came out of the other side that's just loose. So we gotta figure out some solution for that. Pretty sweet. Actually, I can tell that the throttle response, like it is different. Like the bike's definitely breathing better. All right, so I'm just gonna zip tie this to here so it doesn't move around too much. It's really not a big deal. You don't have to do this step. The way you put these guys back in, let me zoom in here real quick. The way you put these guys back in, when you take them out, they're gonna look like this because you push that in order to take it out. Make sure you don't damage these. They're a pain in the ass to find new ones. So what you do is you just push this out like that. You get all parts of that sleeve in there, and once you're done, you just get it flush with its body right there. So it's quite simple, really, unless if you don't know what you're doing and you're doubtful, just think about it for 3 minutes. See, it's as simple as that. Go like that, grab it, pretty much just feel for it. Done. You should have a total of 4 screws left. These held the kind of the manifold. Let me see, where am I? These guys held the manifold to the original. So like that sensor, they held the sensor to the original body. We don't need them anymore because the Chimera came with two machine screws. These held the actual intake body to the frame. So since that's gone, you don't need that anymore. You shouldn't have anything else left over after that, just those 4 things. And things should just start right up. And let's take a look at it from the side here. There it is. This is from underneath, from above. And bike's pretty solid. Like even though that kind of this structural piece is technically taken out, which some of this stuff was bolting onto. It seems like it's still pretty solid. I am curious to take this apart and take a look at the original air filter and see what that looks like. So let's do that really quick. Okay, so unsurprisingly, this air filter is actually really clean still. You can still see the green, unless it was white to begin with. But yeah, it's pretty clean, and you can kind of see what happens, right? air was coming in through there from a reverse direction, right? So now it's actually getting pushed into the bike. It was coming in from that reverse direction, was sucking the air in, and then it was going through this filter and then going through there in order to get into the motor. And now it's literally just cutting out all of this structure to just go through a much higher flow filter, probably, because Canon doesn't filter anything out really, and it just pushes all the air into that motor, which I'm totally fine with.
Okay, let's try this again. So this is my second time out today trying to get this video, because the first time the GoPro just didn't record the audio part. I actually went for a really nice long ride. Went to Silverado Canyon, and I'm not going to do that now just because I've already done a big ride today. But okay, so since I already got a pretty good ride in earlier today, I'll just recap it for you guys. I feel like the acceleration is a little peppier, like I can accelerate a little faster after the Chimera install. And now keep in mind, I don't have the ECU Flash yet, so really hard to judge anything. You know, there should not really be much of a difference just yet. So let's see. But honestly, I don't notice any difference at all in the bike other than that. I tested the top speed. My top speed before was 60 miles an hour. My top speed now is 60 miles an hour. I'm able to hit like 70 on a downhill, but then it struggles on an uphill just like it always does. Like I said, I lost all the footage when I talked about all of this earlier this morning, but you'll get the idea. Not much of a difference. The sound actually sounds almost exactly the same. I really don't like the sound of these Yoshi pipes. I think they're too loud for this bike. But that's just, you know, I know that's a matter of opinion. Some of you probably love exactly how it sounds. I think, you know, when you have a small bike, if it sounds louder than some large bikes, which this does, that's kind of it's pretending to be something it's not, and I'm not really into that. So if one of you knows a way to make this thing a little quieter, I'd love to hear it. I don't want to necessarily change out the pipes because I'm kind of done with my investment in this bike at this point. But if there's like a dB killer or some sort of baffle that I can insert into the Yoshi pipes, I might invest in that. Just because I feel like it's a little too loud. It honestly, it drones out too, so it's like I feel like if I ride this for like an hour, which I did earlier today, that's going to be a very long hour for me. So I'd rather not have the super loud exhaust. But again, the Chimera has so far, I don't think, made much of a difference, if any, in the sound. I do notice a little faster acceleration. Like I feel like before the bike was getting a little choked, and now it's not as much, so that's nice. This corner here usually has some sand on it. That looks pretty clean today. A little bit. this part of the neighborhood here is you'd only come to this part of it if you literally live on this block. So there's hardly ever any vehicles. People walk right in the middle of the street usually because they're not expecting any cars. Anyway, let me know what you think of the Chimera the air intake. I think it's a cool device and everything, but it stands to be seen. I'm certainly not passing judgment on it yet because I haven't had the ECU Flash quite yet. I didn't even reset my ECU. I just literally took it for a ride. It's riding just fine. No issues, no lights, nothing. So from that perspective, it's doing well. I'll probably send in my ECU today or tomorrow, and by next weekend I should have a little bit of a judgment on the whole setup. By then I might even be able to get my clutch. I don't know, that's a little overzealous given that it's Thanksgiving weekend. But so today I was just really hoping to kind of get at least my moto vlogging audio setup working. So this is my second try. It better have worked because it's been a pain in the ass. I'm starting to hate the GoPro, honestly. I don't know what your opinion of the GoPro is. Visuals, like the video is actually quite good, but I feel like audio-wise it really sucks to have to deal with all these different components and figure out how to mount them on your helmet and whatnot. Anyway, that's for a different video. So bike runs fine, no noticeable difference in high-end power, maybe a little bit of a noticeable difference in low end for me anyway. Definitely looking for your feedback as to whether or not you feel the ECU will really make the Chimera come to life. And I guess we'll find out next week. Thanks for tuning in.